Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This is the last class on Upanishad for this retreat, and this class is more of like a falastuti. We are going to discuss the fruit of self-knowledge, self-realization, and also some very beautiful illustrations which Sri Ramakrishna gives us in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. You will find these beautiful stories and illustrations. So, what is the man of realization appears to be doing everything just as we do, but his inner experience is very different. So, Sri Ramakrishna used to give this in the form of the story of that Vyas. You remember sage Vyas? The story goes like this. It seems once Vyasdev, he was a great sage, well known in his own times, and he's the one who gave us so many of the Puranas, the compilation of the Vedas, all that. So once he was standing on the banks of the Yamuna, and he wanted to cross from this bank to the other bank, and there was no ferry. So he was just standing there wondering what to do when a whole lot of gopis came there. So these gopis were wanting to sell milk on the other bank of the Yamuna, and so they were carrying pots of milk and butter and curd and everything. And then this sage who was sitting and waiting there, he said, well, there's no boat, there's no ferry, so all of you just stay here. But I am very hungry. I am very hungry. Can you give me something to eat? So they all gave him a lot of milk and butter and whatever they had, and he ate his fill. In fact, the story goes that he ate up all their stuff, which they were taking to sell on the other side in the market. So he ate that up, and then, to everybody's amazement, he stood there and prayed loudly, "Oh, Mother Yamuna, if I have not eaten anything, if my stomach is completely empty, then you please make way so that we may go to the other side and sell our all the things that we have and make money and buy something." He's praying like this, okay? "Oh, Mother, make way if I have not eaten anything." And it seems Mother Yamuna did make way. So the river parted, as it were, and there was a nice path for them, all of them, to walk through, and they went to the other side. They carried everything and went, but they were all so amazed, all these gopis. So once they were on the other side, see, they were very simple people, no, these gopikas and all. They caught the sage and they said that, how you said such a big lie and still Mother Yamuna obeyed you? How did she make way for you like this? And then the sage only smiled and said, that's because I did not eat. I am the Atman. In my experience, I am identified with the self. My body ate it. Body required it, it ate. But I am not identified with that body. So look at his state of realization. So Mother Yamuna obeyed him also. But from the standpoint of the gopis, what a arrant lie he is saying. So like this, many times, the state of the jnani cannot be understood. Because his inner experience, he alone knows. We are always trying to see from our standpoint, isn't it? We judge everything from our standpoint. Many of the temple officials in Dakshineshwar could not understand Thakur's state. In fact, most of them could not. When he was young, he was the priest of the temple, Choto Bhattacharya they used to call him, and he was always misunderstood. Anything he did in the temple, they looked upon it at what a queer way of doing his duties, and they criticized, and they even went and complained to Mathur Babu. Only Rani Rasmani and Mathur had the insight to see the level of his consciousness. They had that insight because Rani Rasmani was not an ordinary lady, isn't it? She was the Ashtasakhi of Mother, one of the Ashtasakhis. So because she had that divine element in her, she could recognize his divinity. The others could not. So like this, the inner experience of the jnani is not easily known, but to him the experience is very clear. He will function like an ordinary man. Mm. And he will look also like an ordinary man. Like they are so perfectly ordinary that it is very, very difficult to understand what level of consciousness they are in. You know, once one man came to see Raman Maharshi on that Arunachala hill. That time he was on the hill, he was staying on, he had not yet come into the ashram. So then he asked one of, the very close acquaintances, one who knew Raman Maharshi well. And see, he also was looked upon as only a young boy at that time. He was quite young. And they used to call him Chinna Swami, the young Swami. And this man asked that there is a sage here who's realized, self-realized. I want to meet him. And this man told him, "Oh, you mean that Chinna Swami, the young Swami on the hill? Even if you break your head, he will not bother. Don't go to him. He's not bothered about anything in this world." So this is the perception. This is what I'm trying to tell you. But what his state of consciousness was, he drew the whole world to him. Okay, where there is realization of us, at least, if not of the highest degree, to whatever degree, there will be tremendous power of attraction. Thakur says this, isn't it? In the gospel, you will find this so many times. Because you will know that the state of that mind is very different. So people will come with their own, whatever demands, but still they will know that here is something very divine. So he will appear very ordinary. That is the whole point. So you see this this beautiful explanation of Sri Ramakrishna, because today we are going to go into this in the Kena Upanishad. Let me give you an introduction from the gospel. Sri Ramakrishna says, "He who has attained this knowledge of Brahman is a Jivan Mukta. He is liberated while living in the body. He rightly understands that the Atman and the body are two separate things." See, that's the initial realization, will give you that split. After realizing God, one does not identify the Atman with the body. These two are separate, like the kernel and the shell of the coconut when its milk dries up. So you see, you would rattle it and you will hear the sound. The Atman moves, as it were, within the body. When the milk of worldly mindedness has dried up, one gets self-knowledge. Then one sees that the Atman and body are two separate things. The kernel of a green almond or betel nut cannot be separated from the shell. But when they are ripe, the juice dries up and the kernel separates from the shell. After the attainment of knowledge, the milk of worldly mindedness dries up. So this is the inner experience of the knower of Brahman. No tinge of worldliness or selfishness in him. Everything will be spontaneous about him, and he is utterly pure. That is, his divinity comes out through that. So such a person is really rare, but such a kind of person alone is, you see, why is it that in all cultures all around the world they worship this type? Of what practical use is he to the world, tell me? He may not even function as somebody because he doesn't have that sense of identity at all. But his very presence will calm down minds. His knowledge is life-saving. His knowledge is the deepest knowledge possible. So this type contribute in a very different way. That is why Vivekananda said there are different levels of contribution. Isn't it? He has said this in Karma Yoga, if you read it. One is Annadanam. That's the first one, primary one. You satisfy the hunger of people. The second is Vidyadanam. It is good to offer a man food, but if you teach him to grow his own food, it's a better help, isn't it? All his life you help him. So that is Vidya. You teach him how to survive, how to get what he requires. And after that is this Jnana Danam, spiritual knowledge, because it removes wants itself. It removes desire itself. It is the highest level of knowledge. But it can only be imparted by a lighted torch, one who has had it. Only he will know it, the extent of its influence. Now, you see in this Kenopanishad, something very similar they are telling us. Go to mantra number 4. Yesterday we did this mantra. The 4th chapter, mantra 4. Tasyaisha adesho. Tasyaisha adesho yadetad vidyuto vyadyutada iti mimishada ityadhidaivatam. This is its instruction about meditation through analogy. It is like that which is known as the flash of lightning, or also known by the winking of an eye. These are illustrations in a divine context. So it is that immediate, the knowledge of Brahman. That's what they mean to say. Like the flash of lightning, like the winking of an eye. It is instantaneous and immediate because your self is not apart from you. Your own sense of being, which is ever present even when you are thinking, even when you are acting, whatever you may be doing, that sense of being. So it flashes through your mentation and sensation and thought, emotion, everything. So when it is realized in a flash. It's a flash of insight. Then you go on having those flashes of insight so that you create the sanskars of prajna, the higher awareness. For a long time when you do that, you get saturated in that, soaked in that, and you will revel in that. It may not necessarily be like, you're in samadhi all the time. It may be you're moving about and doing things. See, Swamiji's state was like that. Vivekananda's state. If you read carefully, even see New Discoveries volumes are right here. You will see from what level of consciousness Vivekananda functioned. Many times he was found deeply absorbed within himself, even in the midst of activity. Once he tried to teach meditation in London, to a group of people. He taught it in such a way he went into samadhi. Yes. And only after a long time he came out of that state. So many such incidents are there, very striking incidents. So what happens is, these people function from a different level of consciousness. They were brought down to earth forcefully for our sake, isn't it? Sri Ramakrishna clearly says this, that he appealed to the Saptarishi to come down and to help with his work. So their coming is something very different. So the natural plunge of their mind is towards that Brahmagyan. So that's why the tremendous influence they have exerted on the world, and not just the modern world. See, this will go on for a very long time. It's only due to the power of that mind. It revels in the truth. So when the realization comes, it will come in a flash. That time you may think that, oh, I went through so much labor to get this. But the realization will come in a flash, because as I told you, the self is not alien to your being. It has not to be brought from somewhere. It is you. When you're constantly saying, I, what you mean by that is the self only. It was covered with this thick veil of ignorance. The veil is removed. That's all. So that is why such expressions are used here in the Kenopanishad. Now you see the 5th mantra. Athadhyatmam yadetad gacchati vacha manonena chaitadupasmarati abhikshanam sankalpaha. Then is the instruction through analogy in the context of the individual self, This known fact that the mind seems to go to Brahman, and the fact that it which means Brahman, is repeatedly remembered through the mind as also thought. See, again they are telling the same thing. It appears like you are thinking of Brahman, but thought itself is possible only on the substratum of Brahman. So it is Brahman alone that is being revealed through thought. We think through thought object is revealed. But he is saying no. Even the mechanism of thought can reveal Brahman. That's why, the typical Vedantin will tell you, you don't have to shut down mind. Yes, the Advaitin will tell you that. You don't have to shut down mind. Even while thinking, while acting, while emoting, you can get Brahma Jnana. Because the self is not separated from your mental mechanism when you are doing all this. It's only due to the self that you're doing it. So there's a way of, intuiting the light even while functioning. But usually what happens is people get carried away by the thought process. That is why the usual advice in yoga is you stop mind for some time. Just like you want to repair your car. Can you repair it while it's running? Yes, like that. Something like that. So do whatever applies to you. See, each one has their own path. Some people do not require yoga to come to Vedanta. Fine, you go direct. Some people require it because they know it's a step-by-step thing, and otherwise my mind is not arriving at this. So then you take this up. It's like that. Whatever applies to you, take that up. So this is the meaning of the fifth mantra, that even in the process of your thought, although you may be thinking that, I am thinking of some object, but only Brahman is getting revealed, actually speaking, even in that thought process. So you see, this is a very, very nice idea. Don't take it lightly to mean, oh, then, I don't have to do anything. In everything, Brahman only is getting revealed. No, that's not the point. See, people who do not want the experience of realization will make such conclusions, okay? If you really are aiming at this knowledge, it must totally consume your mind. And experience does that, isn't it? When do we call it a real experience? When it has consumed you. You are completely in it. You revel in it. So for that to happen, do whatever is required. Stop mind, don't stop mind. Think, don't think. Do whatever you want, but get to this. This is the whole point. So you see, the sixth mantra also is interesting. He says, Tadva tadvanam nama tadvanamityupasitavyam saya etadevam vedabhi hainam sarvani bhutani samvanchanti. This Brahman is well known as the one adorable to all creatures. Hence, it is to be meditated on with the help of the name Tadvana. All creatures surely pray to anyone who meditates on it in this way. Why it is given this name is Tadvana, the adorable one, because it is the dearest to each one of us. The self. Can there be anything dearer than that? Tell me. The self is the dearest. Nearest, dearest. The most important thing in your life, all that you're doing, consciously, subconsciously, unconsciously, is for the self. So it is called Tadvanam. And this is how it is to be meditated upon. See, everything we do in life, we are doing it only for this. Vivekananda used to say, the murderer murders for this same thing, and the saint meditates for the same thing. Only he has understood that thing to belong to that object. So he's trying to get somebody out of the way to get that object. And the saint has understood that the self is what he is seeking. So he turns the equipment within. Both of them are seeking the same thing. Isn't this how fantastic, really? Huh? Think about it and see. We are all seeking the same thing, but in how many different ways? So, as we go on refining our mind, we will understand what exactly we are seeking and how to get it. Until then, you will seek it normally in your career, you will seek it through your marriage, through your relationships, through your children. You're seeking the same happiness through all of this. So, as we go on meditating and refining our mind, we will see that the source of all this happiness is right within me. So, these are then what like stimuli. But after some time, you will understand that even they are not even the stimuli. I am superimposing the inner joy on them and giving them the credit for my inner happiness. So, to come to this level of understanding, meditation is required. You can go through the Science of Happiness videos. There, all this has been covered extensively. Uh, In fact, I would say a state close to the state of samadhi is required to understand where exactly happiness comes from. And one experience, that kind of experience, will keep your consciousness very expanded, you know. So you can't live in a small identity. You feel crammed. That's why I'm telling you, actually speaking, all spiritual people in general, they very much like vast spaces. They would rather glare at a ocean or something like that, and or mountains or something like that, rather than sit crammed in a small space. Mother says this at one place, you know, that a big room uh, makes the mind big. So, some way of expanding our inner consciousness, which is just now reflecting through the mind, okay, which means expansion of mind, that is required in everyday life. That will remove us from our moroseness, you know, that inner sorrow. And people know this instinctively. That's why they are racing to all those getaways, no? So, something expansive, if you keep seeing, uh, naturally you get out of your little shell, this cocoon of individuality. Renouncing it is a relief, actually, I'm telling you. Putting it down is such a huge relief for the mind. Always functioning as a small individual is it's really like it's unacceptable. Mm. So now we will go to the next mantra, seventh mantra. Upanishadam bho bruhityukta ta Upanishad brahmim vavata Upanishadam abrumeti. The disciple says, Sir, speak of the secret knowledge. The teacher says, I have told you of the secret knowledge. I have imparted to you that very secret knowledge of Brahman, that it is pratibodha viditam matam. That is the secret knowledge. It is there in every experience you are having. It is shining forth. You are not seeing it. You are so carried away by the experience. You are not seeing what is always there. That is the secret knowledge. See what changes with realization. This is something we must see clearly. In Buddhism, you know, they have a very nice saying. Before realization, chopping wood, drawing water. After realization, chopping wood, drawing water. Which means you will be doing the same things. You will appear the same. Only thing is your mind has transformed in such a way because you have caught the underlying substratum behind all experience. And because that is of the nature of consciousness, you will become intensely conscious in your experiences. Which means a bigger slice of life, isn't it? See, we discussed this. Higher the awareness, higher your vitality will function. Yes, it's a bigger slice of life. You see more than what others see. That's why all this, figurative way of putting it is the Trinayan has opened. Huh? Ours is like a dialectical culture, no? So all this is used figuratively to tell you that you are seeing something more than what others are seeing now. So your third eye has opened. It's a dramatic way of saying it. All that will happen is the power of intuition has developed within you. So all gods have three eyes, which means they see more than what we can see. That's all. So there is no secret knowledge. What is obvious. Secret is only the way the mind functions. That is the whole thing to be understood. How we manage to manufacture Maya. The self is ever shining. So then he also outlines in this Upanishad the different, you can say legs of uh, practice. Huh? So you see the next mantra, the eighth mantra. Tasyai tapo dama karmeti pratishtha veda sarvangani satyamayatanam. Concentration, cessation from sense objects, rites, etc. are its legs. Of what? Legs of this knowledge, Brahma Vidya. The Vedas are all its limbs and truth is its abode. See, again and again they outline this. Concentration, focus, cessation from sense objects, Vairagya. This is only Vairagya. Raga means attachment. Vairagya means detachment from sense objects. Not allowing mind to be carried away. Rites, all these sacrifices, dan, and the actual, all this falls under rites. In the modern age, all those sacrificial rites, yajnas, what have they become? They have become the charitable acts that we do every day, the philanthropical works which we do. Yes, the spirit of yajna is the spirit of sacrifice, the spirit of acknowledging I am part of the cosmos and I have to contribute to it in whatever measure I can. I have to give to life what I take from it. So you today, what form has it taken? It has taken the form of charitable works, philanthropic works. Yes, that is the way to grow. Dana, even in Bhagavad Gita, it is stressed. Why it is important? Because you are unconsciously taking so much from life. How are you giving back? How are we putting it back? I tell my students there, because they are so light about everything, I always told this, that you see one plate of food coming in front of you. Think and see how many people have worked for it. Your lunch coming in front of you. If you actually think and see, at least 15 people have labored for it. Starting from that farmer who sowed those seeds. What have I paid back? I don't even pray for their welfare, when I consume that food. At least we should pray. So this feeling of gratefulness and acknowledging the sacrificial nature of life, this is the spirit behind all this, yajna, dan. So this should be there. A go-getter cannot come into spiritual life. I should be able to give back more than I take. Then I will keep positive karma, isn't it? Then only we will grow. So that's why all this. These are its legs. Yes. Remember, one who progresses in spiritual life, he is Ashesha Punyavan. Otherwise, he cannot. Lot of punya is there, merit. Otherwise, one cannot progress in spiritual life. The karmic thing will work out in such a way, if there is not enough punya, you cannot go ahead. Your punya is your only bank account, permanent bank account. Yes, it will decide where you go and what you do next. So be careful with your karma. That is the whole point. Contribute as much as you can, wherever you can, and that will, you'll see your mind settles down. Harmony comes into the mind. Otherwise, if that papa element is more, if demerit is more, whatever meditation you do, your mind will not settle. Because the fundamentals are not right. That's why you see, these are all the basic things. Setting your karmic account right, being dutiful, being grateful, thankful, contributing as much as you can. In terms of your energy, in terms of your thought, your knowledge, in terms of whatever objects you have, money, as much as you can. This all contributes to our spiritual growth. So these are the legs, and the Vedas are all its limbs. See? This knowledge, both para and apara vidya, are constitute its limbs. Vedas fall under what vidya? Exactly. See, they themselves say it. Tell me which scripture in the world will say this. The Vedas themselves say, Rig Vedo, Sama Vedo, Atharva Vedo. You will find this in some of the Upanishadic mantras. Mundaka Upanishad. All this belongs to Aparavidya. Only that, what is Paravidya? That Akshar, what it signifies, that is Paravidya. It is not, it cannot come under words and letters. So you see, the Vedas are all its limbs, and truth is its abode. The supreme truth is its abode. So all the means, the legs, the limbs, everything has been well identified and delivered for the aspirant. Then, let me tell you this fundamentally. Keeping our karma positive, keeping our habits very clean, keeping our attitudes very positive, and keeping our karma positive means contributing in whatever measure we can. All these are the foundation of spiritual life. So don't make a mistake about these things. Just I'm interested in meditation. First, you have to settle all these things, set them right. This is what they're telling us. So that's why you see, when people come for spiritual life, usually some form of karma yoga is given to them. Learn to work selflessly. We have taken so much from life, actually, you see. And in what measure have we paid back? So all this will go with us. It impacts your entire Panchakosh. We don't understand that. It impacts our mind also. That's why, there is a saying there is a rule in yoga that you should not receive gifts. Because aparigraha, because if you do, you are obligated to the one who gives you, to the giver. Yes, it's all karmic tangle. Sri Ramakrishna used to find this in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. He used to say, he used to tell devotees, you feed these youngsters, there's great meaning in this. All the sadhus who were around him, would-be sadhus they were. Then he used to say, feeding them is like feeding Narayan. Great good will come to you. All this he used to say. Why he would say this? He's preparing them for sadhana. So it's a step-by-step thing. With good works comes a good mind. With a good mind, you can automatically meditate. Yes. So that's why you see all religions have prescribed this, isn't it? Hmm. You go on Char Dham Yatra, you will understand everywhere langars are there. Everywhere huge uh, accommodations are there where they are regularly, every day morning they light the fire and cook food for thousands of people who will go to Badrinath, who will go to Kedarnath, who will go to Gangotri, because a whole lot of businessmen from Delhi and Lucknow have set up langars all along the way. Nobody will starve, no sadhu will starve. And all the merit you get by doing this automatically goes there. Naturally, whoever feeds you gets the merit. So you will find these langars and this kind of activities everywhere going on. Have you been to the Golden Temple? Karseva? Even the biggest businessman or PM Modi, even if he goes there, some amount of Karseva you have to do. Because it is seva to the temple. So whatever you have, contribute that. Your physical energy, your mental energy, your knowledge, money, whatever you can. It has to be done in all this. This is all called religious merit, punya. So a lot of things are built on this, please remember. If this spirit is not there, you will falter in your meditative practices. When the mind does not open up to truth, you must see all this clearly. Have I myself blocked the way by not seeing all this? So these are all essentials, primary essentials for the long journey which we are going to take. Self-knowledge. Then the ninth mantra, Yova etamevam vedapahatya papmanamanante swarge loke jeye pratitishthati pratitishthati iti kenopanishadi chaturtha khandha. Anyone who knows this thus, he, having dispelled sin, remains firmly seated in the boundless, blissful and highest Brahman. He remains firmly seated there. See, having dispelled sin, papmanamanante swarge loke jeye pratitishthati. This element of sin or negativity, whatever you say, see, nobody is born in sin, but we create sin out of our actions, isn't it? Taking more from life than you can put back is sin. In the Bhagavad Gita, such a person is called a thief. I sustain myself on the labors of others without giving back. Isn't it sinful? So many times, all these are the things which pull us back in spiritual life. So be a free giver. A person who is constantly giving, that disposition is there. He will have such vibes. He will be so positive and have such a light on his face. Even if you read about him or see him, it is blissful. Yes, he's a punyavan. I don't know if you have heard of parivar.org. Vinayak Lohani. Yes, people like this who are really out and out givers. The fundamental philosophy of life is I have to do as much as I can and go. So such people are really like, even if you go there, you will get purified, I'm telling you, if you enter that organization. He is supporting more than 2,500 destitute children who would have fallen in very bad circumstances without the education and all that he is giving. He, like a parent, takes care of everything until they stand on their feet. And how he is doing it, you can go to parivar.org and see. He's a IIT, IIM graduate. Left everything just to do this. Yes, young man. So like this, there are few in this world who have understood this. See, automatically this kind of a work will take you into the highest spirituality, no doubt. You become sinless when you remove the sorrow of another, and he's changing the destiny of others. All these kids, hmm, I told my, see, in IIT, a whole lot of students suffer from depression, this suicidal tendencies, all this. I told them, you stop all this rubbish activity in your head and just visit that website of parivar.org and similar websites. You see how refreshed you will come out. It will give you a picture of what life is about. Instead of some silly thought process, some anger, some hatred, and destroying your life just thinking of somebody's silly uh, perversities, do something like this. That's why you must join hands with high minds. I'm telling you that satsang is very important. If you can physically do it, excellent. If you can't do that, at least resort to such things. Join hands with people who are doing it. It will boost your energies. And just some silly negative thought process will bring down your energies. So don't waste a single second. I'm telling you, if you want the real spiritual life, don't waste a single second. Always something good, something positive. Like the way we were when we were students, always alert and like that. Be a student all your life. Thakur used to say, Yavat bachi tavat shiki. Thakur used to say, and what to speak of us? We are so small. Keep this as the philosophy of life, learning and growing every day. So this Upanishad is charging us up, with all these ideas, giving us fresh energy. Dipping into this is really, I'm telling you, Ganga Snan. It will free you from sins. Every day morning Upanishad. See, I do this, I'm telling you. Morning meditation, after meditation, go straight to the scripture. Don't do other things. That time is very, very important. Because after your meditation, your mind is fresh. Nothing else has entered the mind. That time, go to the scripture, get fully energized. At least read the gospel or something like that. Bhagavad Gita, gospel, Upanishads, commentaries on the Upanishad, something like that you can go into. Only after that, engage. Don't go to your social media for the first 2-3 hours of every morning. Meditation, then this kind of reading. So your energies will all rise up. After that, after breakfast, you can start your daily interaction. Until then, don't. Evening, same process. As much as you can. Do this and see. Practical tips I'm giving you. This is what works. Commit yourself to the life spiritual. And then whatever I see and hear also, as much as possible, I will do that only. I will see good things, good movies. Okay, you want to see a movie on a weekend. See something which is really positive, which will help you. There's so much of good stuff also, isn't it? And if I want to hear, it will be devotional music. And at least scriptural exposure should be there in daily life. That's why I'm telling you, all these YouTube videos are doing great job to people. They told me after COVID, during COVID actually, they told me that so productively we can use our hours only because this is there. Otherwise, we were really going into depression. So at least 10 hours every week you can devote to this kind of an intense study. And you see how the difference it makes to your lives. See, it's a small world. Don't keep thinking, oh, how will I get holy company? You will get it, don't worry. If you want it, you will get it. So this is where the Upanishad ends. Now, I want to just draw your attention to one passage. So we just finished the Kenopanishad, and see, as a conclusion to this, I want to draw your attention to this passage from the Gospel. See how meaningful this is to our discussion. The master is saying, reasoning is one of the paths. It is the path of the Vedantis. But there is another path, the path of bhakti. If a bhakta weeps longingly for the knowledge of Brahman, he receives that as well. These are the two paths, Jnana and Bhakti. Since one cannot easily get rid of the ego, a bhakta does not explain away the states of waking dream and deep sleep. He accepts all the states. Excuse me. Further, he accepts the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. A bhakta sees that God alone has become the 24 cosmic principles, the universe, and all living beings. He also sees that God reveals himself to his devotees in a tangible form, which is the embodiment of spirit. The bhakta takes shelter under Vidya Maya. He seeks holy company, goes on pilgrimage, and practices discrimination, devotion, and renunciation. He says that since a man cannot easily get rid of his ego, he should let the rascal remain as the servant of God, the devotee of God. But a bhakta also attains the knowledge of oneness. He sees that nothing exists but God. He does not regard the world as a dream, but says that it is God himself who has become everything. In a wax garden, you may see various objects, but everything is made of wax. So, with this, we end the Kenopanishad here. Now, let's take up your questions.
In the path of Upanishad,
Hmm.
so where does the sadhana Chatushta fall?
Sadhana Chatushta is the preliminary, the precondition for the study of Upanishad. See, traditionally, let me tell you how the Upanishads were taught. Hmm. First of all, there was all those, that adhikari vad, what they say. You have to be a adhikari too. What does an adhikari have? Vivek, Vairagya, Shat Sampati, and Mumukshutvam. This is called Sadhan Chatushtay. So you know the meanings. I think all of you know. So I won't go into that. But this was necessary precondition for entering into Vedic knowledge. And the beginning was not straight jumping into the Upanishad. First, you had to learn all the Vedangas, all the auxiliary texts. It included grammar and etymology and a certain amount of this, scriptural interpretation. It's called hermeneutics, so that you understand what the scripture is saying. And then you had to study the prakarana granthas like Atma Bodh, Tattva Bodh, Vivek Chudamani, Aparokshanubhuti. So these are all texts which will assist you in grasping the knowledge of the Upanishads. And really, they are so meaningful. If you read them, they will appear like the Upanishads. So beautiful they are. So you had to go through all this, and after so many years of training in all this, and also background knowledge of the 6 systems of philosophy, which means you are initiated into Nyaya, into Sankhya. That background knowledge should be there to be able to appreciate Upanishad. Then only, after some 6 to 8 years, then you enter the Upanishad. And this will go on for another 6 years. Okay, so 12-year study used to be like that. Now everything is made easy, but I told you, always remember, I can offer you a 10-course meal, but you will only eat as much as you can digest. So also this is being offered, but each one of us will only take as much as we can digest. That's why Vivekananda said, you open it up for everyone. They will only take what they can. But it should be available to everyone. Bring these ideas into everybody's door and they will take up what they can. So Sadhan Chatushta is very important for assimilation of this knowledge, without which it will go over the head. Yes. And that sattvic ways of living, the lifestyle should be like that. We are always aiming at higher standard of life, but higher quality of life also is more important for spiritual life. Where I have invested my money, my energy, my time, all that will matter.
In the ancient days, the kings, they used to patronage
Yeah,
most of the ashrams, the gurukulas, and everything.
true.
So they had the advantage
Yeah,
of learning much better way than the current
yeah.
ways.
Yes, that's true. The whole system of social life was like that. Because they themselves passed through brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyas. It was the code of life for everybody. So they knew the importance of the brahmacharya ashram, and so they would patronize the ashrams. Now that concept only is not there. You go into any college, if you talk of brahmacharya ideal, they'll say, "What's that?" So that way of life. There are a number of gurukuls and all that in South India. There are lots of gurukuls, but still they're only a handful compared to what the mainstream education system is.
Southern step stay is preparatory before.
Yes.
But it's also during because it's a tall order. It's a lot of
Yeah.
that achievement is
Yeah.
also
Yeah. Yeah.
during while you're studying because if you achieve that,
Yeah.
then having nothing in scripture.
Yeah.
It's a lifelong
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah. Right. No, that's why what they said was 25 years you do all this. Then there is the grahasthashram. Most of the students would enter into the grahasthashram, and then they would go into vanaprastha. Vanaprastha, again they are coming back to these ideals. It used to be like that. And of course, sannyas was like mandatory because to get the feel of freedom, they would recommend that. Now, because that kind of a thing does not exist, most people are jumping from brahmacharya to sannyas. Those who want to do spiritual life, that is happening.
People who do charity for the sake of getting merit.
Mm.
There are people who do charity for the love of humans.
Mm.
Don't you think the second category is better?
Yes, always. See, without thinking of the fruit of an action, if you do the action, it will give you greater merit. It's always better. But usually people don't have a spiritual outlook. They are just thinking in terms of, what will I get out of it? So you will get merit out of it. So that's why they are doing. Most people are doing like that. It's always better not to think of punya and do. Because it's my nature to do good, I do good, like that.
Usually higher awareness leads to higher vitality. Awareness is
Other way around.
higher awareness leads to
Higher awareness will manifest higher vitality, but you actually work on your vitality to get higher awareness.
and when you get higher awareness, it is the realization of the consciousness.
Yes.
And does that awareness also mean awareness of our thoughts?
No. Here, the awareness doesn't mean awareness of something. See, this is the crucial point actually, We are only used to thinking of awareness in terms of awareness of an object or of my thought or of what is happening in my mind, some emotion, some act of will, something like that. I'm not at all used to thinking of just being aware without an object. Meditation will make you just aware first. And when you find that, you will see that that is my normal state. You are more aware than identified. Please check this out and see. Identity comes with thought process. Before the thought process begins, you are awareness.
So awareness, which is all encompassing,
Mm.
but we narrow it down when we try to
Yes. Yes. That's why they say, you can't find pure consciousness by the representational model which science is using. Because it is not awareness of something. No? Only meditation will reveal it. And if when you become an expert at meditation, just normal cognition will reveal it. This pratibodha viditam mata.
Regarding people who are very generous,
Hmm.
I have two good friends that are two of the most generous people I know that
Yeah.
don't expect anything in return, but at the same time, they are two people that have serious flaws that
Hmm.
feels like they're compensating for those flaws with
Yeah.
generosity.
Yeah, that's true.
So I mean,
Yeah, how do you explain that? Yeah, most people are doing this. It's not just about your friends. Most people are being very generous because to overcome the guilt in their psyche. They have done something that they can't overcome and which is so painful. So then they know that by doing good, I can come out of this state of mind. So they are doing it. See, this is something, when convicts go into jails or reformatories, what are called, they are made to do good work compulsorily. They have to do either do stitching or embroidery or make shoes or do something which will benefit society so that you are positively engaged in some way you are contributing and it will make you feel good. That's the way to overcome those criminal tendencies. So this is a very good thing, but you remember this, that when we talk of actual dan, giving in charity, it must not stem out of any negativity. Then only it is done. Until then, it's only helping yourself, coming out of that very negative state of mind. So real charity comes when you understand the fundamental law of life. It is the law of sacrifice. I have to give because I have taken so much from life. See, look at these trees. What do we give them that they give us so much? Look at the law of life. This is what I'm telling you. They give us so much shade, fruit, uh, beauty, oxygen, everything. And what have we given them? Nothing. Their nature is to keep giving. All these cycles of nature, carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle, everything is maintained because nature obeys this. It will put back whatever it is taking. Only human beings don't do it. Even a lion or tiger doesn't attack until it's hungry. But a human being,
excess.
Coming back to awareness, the whole concept of experience or states of consciousness, everything is possible only through awareness. Right? Without being aware,
yeah,
there's no experience.
yeah,
But we don't recognize that and we think we have to specially become aware of something. But we are constantly aware, we are aware, otherwise there would be no experience. It's just that maybe we are not aware of the who am I concept and what I'm going through, where I'm supposed to be heading, what is my goal. We're not consciously aware of that. Yes, we're in a subconscious state kind of thing, right?
yeah,
We're aware, but we're not conscious of that.
yeah. But one thing has to be pointed out. See, what the awareness we are normally using in a thought process, that awareness is reflected awareness in the mind. Reflection of the real thing it is. That, how do you know it's a reflection of the real thing? Only because, you see, your mind becomes aware and unaware. There are different degrees of awareness in the mind. But in the mind of a realized, there are no degrees of awareness. So our awareness has to be brought to that pitch through sadhana then you can say pratibodha viditam matam. In every act of cognition, it is there. Yes. Yes. That's why the sadhana is required. Although we may say it is already there.
No, it's there, but the utility of it,
Yes.
the direction of it,
Mm.
can only be a conscious effort.
Right.
It can only be at the conscious level that you really have the entire light.
Yes. Yes. It has to be brought to a certain pitch to manifest as the light of the Atman. Otherwise, it will be only mental awareness. Poor intermittent light. Yes, anything else? Or shall we end here? So, this is the last part of this series, okay? Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.